Do you like ripping a ton of cards straight out of your opponent's extra deck? If you do, then you're gonna love Dogmatika! Last time I took the Dogmatika into the WCQ and well, let's just say some duels didn't really go as planned. But we weren't about to give up, especially with Ecclesia cheering us on. I was determined that Dogmatika could reach level 20 in the WCQ, so after woolly many battles, here's how they went. Alrighty, duel number 1, and I get to go first. I activate Dogmatic Calamity. You think Full Charm will stop me? I'm locked out of my extra deck anyway. Ho 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 ho. I Ritual Summon White Knight of Dogmatika. Now I could do this. Go! Triple Tactics Thrust. I think I'll grab Nadir's Servant so I can... Oh wait, I can't activate it because my opponent has no monsters on their field. Grabbing Dogmatika Punishment would have been better, but at least I'll have follow-up for next turn. Let's see what my opponent does. Now I really wish that I grabbed Dogmatika Punishment. You also have Branded Fusion. On the bright side, I have Nibiru and Call by the Grave to stop my opponent from extending too much, and I have Ecclesia and Nadir's Servant for next turn. I just have to survive. Ouch! But I'm still here. Mirror Jade honestly wasn't a big concern for me since I could bring out Albazoa. Since if I bring out Albazoa, my Dogmatika monsters will be unaffected by my opponent's extra deck monsters. I was concerned though about what was the face down card. Go! Elder Entity Antis! Destroy the face down card! Nice. Even though my opponent couldn't activate Super Poly this turn, they definitely could activate it next turn to get rid of my monsters, so this was a good pick. I wanted to make sure that I first bring out Albazoa before summoning Maximus so that Maximus wouldn't get interrupted by Mirror Jade. I Ritual Summon Dogmatika Albazoa! And now that I have a Ritual monster, I can rip out a card from my opponent's extra deck. I figured that ripping out Verte Anaconda was not a bad choice since that was one of the ways my opponent could access Branded Fusion. Woohoo! I won! Alrighty, duel number 2, my opponent's going first. Okay, so my opponent's playing Yubel. I just need to use my Molcharmi before Spirit of Yubel comes out. Go! Molcharmi Fulos! Called by the Grave? Well, I bet you didn't expect a second one! Ho 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 ho! Are you really going through the Fiendsmith combo under Fulos? I didn't want my opponent to start fusion summoning, so I activate Nibiru, the Primal Being's effect. Go, Nibiru! It's my turn! I draw! Where are my starters? Well, at least I can get rid of the Spirit Gate since that gives my opponent some recursion. Go! Harpy's Feather Duster! I had no way to start my Dogmatika combos. Even having at least Ash Blossom or Max Seed would let me get Almirage to the grave in order to summon Maximus. But no one's here! Hopefully I can stall another turn with Nibiru. I really needed to get a starter on my next turn. You aren't bringing back Engraver! Go! Call by the Grave! With the amount of flexibility Fiendsmith has, I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent brings out another Engraver. But they probably wouldn't expect Nibiru. I mean, who would expect getting hit by Nibiru twice in one duel? I figured that hitting my opponent with Nibiru right here was ideal to prevent my opponent from grabbing Branded Regained. Go, Nibiru! I'm already struggling with establishing my own board, so I definitely didn't want my opponent to start gaining card advantage. Well, this wasn't a starter. And what was also unfortunate was that my opponent's token had exactly 3000 defense, so my Nibiru couldn't get over it. I really had nothing for this turn, and if my opponent is able to get a starter next turn, I'd most likely lose the game. You aren't getting Engraver out, go call by the grave! It's my turn! I draw! I activate Dogmatika Matrix! Good thing I have Triple Tactics Thrust! With Thrust, I can go full combo as long as I don't get interrupted. My opponent already used up Ash Blossom, so I think I should be good. It's time to bring out Ecclesia. Go, Ecclesia! I was super excited to finally do something this turn, but then this happened. No, my monsters! To be fair, I couldn't even get upset. I did hit my opponent with 2 Nibirus this duel, so it's only fair I got hit with 1, I guess. A downside to using the Gen and Ken package in Dogmatika is that it summons a bunch of monsters so Nibiru will stop the combo in its tracks. Now, my opponent just needs to get past my token. Let's see if they do. Woohoo! I won! Alrighty, duel number 3, and my opponent's going first. Okay, so my opponent's playing Crystron. I hear that Crystron is pretty combo heavy and can usually play past several hand traps. Nibiru should weaken the end board. I just needed to interrupt them at their choke point. I don't think so. Go Nibiru! Wipe the field! This was my first time facing Crystron, so hopefully hitting them here was enough to slow down my opponent. Please let me know in the comments if you think there are better choke points. My opponent has Crystron Cluster as their face down, which can destroy 2 cards if they have a Synchro Monster. So my thought was that maybe I can force the Cluster if I use Nibiru to destroy the Synchro Monster. Alright, so my opponent's interruption can now only destroy 1 card on my field. I have both Ken the Diamond Tiger and Dogmatika Matrix as viable starters, so as long as either of them go uninterrupted, I'll be able to do my Dogmatika combo. But I have this! Triple Tactics Thrust! Since both my initial starters got interrupted, I decided to grab the Dear Servant. I already used up my normal summon and there are no extra deck monsters in the field, so I wouldn't be able to bring out Ecclesia. I figured that bringing out Albazoa should hit Crystrons pretty hard since they rely pretty heavily on their extra deck. I Ritual Summon Dogmatika Albazoa! Since I wasn't going to win this turn, I figured that it'd be best to get rid of that Crystron Cluster since it could keep destroying my cards each turn. Go Albazoa! Strip my opponent! Oh ho 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 ho! My board doesn't have a whole lot of interruptions, but hopefully I stripped enough resources from my opponent to make a strong comeback. Go Cartesia! I Fusion Summon Granquinol the Dusk Dragon! What's awesome about Granganol is that she lets me summon Dogmatika Ecclesia for next turn's follow-up, or Despian Lulu Lilith for interruption. I figured that I really need to keep the pressure on my opponent, so I bring out Lulu Lilith. Because I summoned her in Chain Link 1, I can use her effect right now! Negate Crystron Sulfador! At this point, I really had no more interruptions, but it looks like my opponent ran out of extra deck resources and couldn't out Albazoa. Woohoo! I won! Alrighty, duel number 4, and I'm going first. My hand didn't have any starters, but it did have some pretty good hand traps. Also, Branded Regain would help me get some recursion and card advantage at least. Oh, okay, so my opponent is playing Metalmorph. The main threat that I need to watch out for is Red Eye's Black Full Metal Dragon, which is a once per turn Omni Negate. I activate Max C! Also, he let me draw a card because I have Branded Regain. Oh ho ho ho. My opponent has Lubellion in the grave, and I definitely didn't want my opponent grabbing their own Branded Regain, so it's important that I banish Lubellion before he preemptively revives himself. It's my turn! So I know that my opponent is going to activate Max Metalmorph as soon as possible to bring out the Full Metal Dragon. Go! Bestial Swarm! So the plan here is that I needed to force the Full Metal Dragon's negation. Go, Swarm! Crash into Magnum Hut! Something that I forgot about was that Max Metalmorph protects Full Metal Dragon from spell and monster targeting. So now my plan is that I still need to bait out Full Metal Dragon's negation, or else I can't activate Dogmatika Matrix safely. What's great about hand traps is that they can easily link into Almirage, and then Almirage can link into Little Knight. Go Little Knight, banish rare Metalmorph! Alright, so my opponent didn't fall for the bait. I was just about to end my turn without anything left to do, but my opponent actually gave me an opening. Woohoo! I baited the negate! My opponent could have triggered all the chains during the end phase, but because it was still main phase 2, I could now start my combo without being interrupted by Full Metal Dragon. I activate Dogmatika Matrix! I already have Albazoa in hand, so grabbing Dogmatic Calamity was a no-brainer, and grabbing Maximus would let me extend further since I have Almirage in the grave already. Go Maximus! Since Full Metal Dragon no longer has target protection due to Max Metalmorph being gone, it was important for me to get rid of Full Metal Dragon this turn, or else it can negate again next turn. I Ritual Summon Dogmatika Albazoa! Go Albazoa! Strip my opponent! Oh ho 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 ho! At this point, all the floating effects were activating in my grave and I really made a comeback. Go Cartesia! I Fusion Summon! Granganol, the Dusk Dragon! I honestly wasn't concerned about the Max Metalmorph, as I have Branded Retribution to stop my opponent from bringing out Full Metal Dragon again. Go! Branded Retribution! Negate Max Metalmorph! So my opponent is now down to the last few cards. I still have Flitter Elise and Lulu Lilith to negate monster effects, so I just needed to be patient. And as a last resort, Typhon comes out, which probably means my opponent is desperate. Go Lulu, negate Typhon! Woohoo! I won! Alrighty, duel number 5, and I'm going first. Maxi already? Oh, good thing I have this. Go! Triple Tactics Thrust! Go, Ecclesia! Since I'm under Max C, I definitely just want to play defensively without special summoning a lot, so my best play was to just normal summon Ecclesia. Okay, so maybe you're playing a ritual deck. It's Mikanko. They're a bit annoying to deal with, especially when Huli shows up while equipped with a spell. Go, Dogmatika Punishment! I decided that here was not a bad time to use Punishment because I wanted to stop my opponent from searching another monster. I honestly was starting to question if using Punishment at that moment was the right call, but then my opponent does this. Wait, is that what Mikanko's normally summon? So you went from Mikanko to Infernoble, and now to Fiendsmith? Here we go. Everything goes into Fiendsmith these days. Huh? That's it? After all that? Well, okay. I draw! Since my field was empty again, I might as well use Fulos or else he'd just be sitting in my hand. Go Fulos! I have both Gen the Diamond Tiger and Dogmatika Matrix as starters. I figured that summoning Gen first as bait would be better since I wanted Dogmatika Matrix to resolve. It seems like my opponent really didn't have any interruption as I was trying to get some reaction from Branded Regain and Valdrick. Go Dogmatika Matrix! Woohoo! I won! And with that last duel, I finally reached Duelist Level 20 for the first time! Woohoo! The Dogmatika made it! Alrighty, so overall, this WCQ was definitely tough. Hand traps like Nibiru and Fulos made it bearable to play against the meta, but what really carried me was learning how my opponent's deck works and taking resources away from it, which Dogmatika is great at doing. Maybe you'd like to give Dogmatika a try. Anyway, bye bye!